Every Christian has to realize this. As Christians, we have to go where God calls us. We have to do what God tells us to do. We have to follow where God sends. And Paul says, when you get married, just understand this. That complicates the issue a little bit. That can make it more challenging. That's what Paul is saying. This is a challenging world to serve the Lord in. The present world is full of difficulties and trials. There are distresses that come as well. There are seasons of immense suffering and uncertainty and challenge. And when that happens in your life, will you be able to honor Christ still if you're married? Will you be able to go where God tells you to go? Will you be able to do what God tells you to do unhindered? Will you be able to put Christ first in your life if you get married? Will you be able to obey Christ even if it is heartbreaking and gut-wrenching? Ladies, will you be able to watch your husband suffer and die for Christ without discouraging them from going through with it? Husbands, would you be willing to leave them behind? For some people, marriage helps make the troubles of life lighter. For others, marriage will make them harder. And Paul says you need to understand who you are. You need to understand what God has called you to do. You need to understand the ramifications of that before you just change your status. Will this change help me or hinder me live for Christ as I await his return? Because he's coming back. That's the most important thing. The most important thing is not whether I'm married or not married. The most important thing is, am I ready when he returns? And so will this change make me more ready or less ready when he comes back? And Paul applies this to marriage, but we can apply it to any decision. Will the new job I am thinking of taking make it harder to follow Christ or easier to follow Christ? Or will it be a net zero? It'll be the same. You know that some companies and some bosses are unscrupulous. And you may get a promotion, and the boss says, "No, I know this is technically illegal, or this is not quite ethical, but we want you to do this." And you're a Christian, now you're in this position. Do you want to put yourself in that position? Or you have to take a job, and now you're going to be working 100 hours a week. You're going to be skipping church. You're going to be missing time with your family. Trying to get your reading of God's word in is almost going to be impossible. Is that a good choice? Will that make following Christ easier, or will that make following Christ harder? It's not about your comfort level, right? Because taking a job that pays more might make your life more comfortable. But what if it hinders you from following Christ? That's what Paul's asking here. As we think about significant decisions in our lives, then the first consideration is, how will that affect us given the present difficulties of life in a fallen world as sinful people seeking to honor the Lord, where there is persecution, suffering, pain, sorrow, and death? How do we factor the present difficulties in to that decision? And that's what Paul wants us to think about. He's ultimately not concerned whether people get married or not, but if they do get married, they just have to make sure they understand what's coming.